Hey guys, what's up? My name's Nate Shy, and joining me, as always... Wait, this is the first one?
It is. As always.
As
it's
always.
Gonna be.
Hopefully. Joining me is the wonderful Rosie de Lecce.
That didn't sound right, but it's okay.
How do you say it?
Rosie di Lecce.
We gave it a go.
I'll give you lessons.
So Rosie,
Yes.
who are you? What do you do?
I am a persuasion master, basically. I do copywriting and content creation, and I teach people how to make money through their content. What do you do?
Thanks, Rosie. What I promised my clients is three things. We're either going to make you money, save you time, or increase your market share. We do this through telling stories. And today, we're discussing the very interesting topic of how to make clickbait work for you in your industry.
Yes, and that's actually a very interesting one, I think, because everybody uses clickbait.
Do you think?
Pretty much.
See, I think not enough
everybody.
people are using clickbait. But first of all, let's just define what clickbait is.
Right. So clickbait, what is it? Is that kind of titles that you see everywhere, like 5 ways to make your coffee grey.
You won't believe this outrageous solution.
Or that. And basically you do that because you're tapping into that primitive feeling of, I want to know everything that you're telling me. And you do that so that people click on it, click on the article, whatever content you're putting out, and then hopefully they just buy your shit.
I think it's a little more complex than that.
Yeah, of course, but, let's just keep it simple.
That's basically it. So what we wanted to look at is clickbait has done wonders for, I say wondered, for like online quote-unquote journalism.
Right.
You've probably seen like BuzzFeed-esque articles that are like 22 gifts that show you're a child of the 90s. And what clickbait typically is just very easy to consume content that really doesn't have a huge amount of impact. And before this podcast, Rosie and I were discussing, obviously, clickbait and why we either love it or why we hate it.
Uh-huh.
So in this first part of the podcast, what we're going to look at are all the reasons why, or all the biggest mistakes people often make when they produce clickbaity articles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that's where we're going.
That's where we're going. Okay. So, so the biggest mistake. So one of the biggest mistakes, well, I think it depends a lot on the industry.
Sure.
Because, of course, one of the biggest mistakes can be that you just go outrageous to a level that it's not good, not at all. And then you actually click on the article, you check the article out, and what really drives me mad is this kind of articles that are all very much keywords driven. They are about 10 sentences.
What do you mean by keyword driven?
Well, very much written for SEO purposes. So sometimes it just doesn't make sense when you read it. It's not written for humans. It's just written for Google to actually rank high. And it just drives me insane.
So these are the kind of articles that you would see. There might be a list of, and there'll be 10 headings. So
yes.
the Google bots used to love headings and finding keywords in headings. So they would just have all these headings with keywords that they think you might be interested in. So say you're looking for, I don't know, to buy a boat.
Yes.
They might have headings like sail, boat. How to buy a thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
So I think that the first mistake that a lot of people or that you're seeing with clickbait articles is not actually realizing there's a human at the end reading it.
Exactly, because exactly it is what you were saying before. This content is actually, or should be, aimed at people just, consuming content, just wasting their time online, like we all do probably. And people forget that. But the whole point is that these people come to your website or to your blog or whatever it is that you have that you're publishing on. And the nice thing is that if this clickbait is done right, people are actually, keep coming back, which is the whole point also with BuzzFeed. I think that it's so successful because eventually their clickbait works because the content is not that bad. It's like,
not
it's
that bad.
Not that bad. I'm sorry, BuzzFeed.
What do you think of BuzzFeed, Rosie? Not that bad.
Sorry about that. But yeah, like you just keep going back and you just get caught in this, oh, I'm reading this, I'm reading that. You spend more time on it. And that's just because they actually write it, keeping in mind that there is a human on the other side. But they're not. Don't laugh at me.
The funny thing is, when I approached Rosie with doing this podcast and this topic, she initially was like, "Oh, thank God, I have so much to say about clickbait," and then just went off on this like 10-minute rant about how much she hated clickbait and why it shouldn't exist and how people should be better.
No, wait. I said that it's just a matter of how it's done and doing it correctly. That's more my point with this, Like there is a way of doing it right, and there is a way that clickbait works great, and there is a way that just annoys me. And we were talking about, like, these articles where you have, like, these Twitter thingies, like just quoting random people. Who are they? Why are we quoting them? Why are they in this article? What do they want from me? I just hate that. Come on.
So from my perspective, I love clickbait.
I know you do.
I think it's fantastic. I love it. Like, just consuming all this content. It makes... So one of the most clickbaity esque titles will be lists of things, right?
Right.
7 ways to, 8 tricks, 9 secrets, whatever, really. And what it does is it sparks this part of our brain that suggests there is some sort of order to the chaos, that we have some sort of way of sorting through the unlimited amount of information that we have, because someone's put it in a nice, easy to read list for us.
True.
And that's why I think that clickbait can work in any industry, is because you really are looking for that. When I say we, I mean humans who are looking to find out information. I want to know that there's only 5 things that I need to know, rather than seemingly unlimited. The fact that someone has quantified it for me means that I'm far more likely to go there.
I think that it's also like a matter of emotion, and being an emotional copywriter, for me, I know that curiosity is one of the strongest emotions that you can tap into, probably next to fear. But so there is that component of it, which is very, very important. You do want to tap into curiosity, and that's also what happens. So it's not only a matter of organizing, something within the chaos of information and the too much information that we have out there, but it's also a matter of, if we say life-changing hacks, or if we say 5 amazing ways to do this or that, it's also a matter of, people just become very, very curious because they think, oh, this is actually going to change my life, or this is actually going to make such an impact on me. And now I'm really curious, because you expect it to be the 5 best things, or you expect it to be the most amazing read of your day or something, because it's going to change something for you. So it's really tapping also into that kind of, emotional state that we have as human beings, I think. So in that sense, I do appreciate clickbait. I just hate it when it's done wrong. Again, that's my point.
The thing is, with clickbaity titles specifically, is the fact that there is an oversaturation of content online.
True.
Because the way to structure a title that gets attention is so done to death that there are machines online, or like robots basically, that you can just enter in your keyword, so that would probably be your industry, and they'll spit out a bunch of clickbaity titles that you can use.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, and why it's called clickbait, and clickbait is often used in quite a negative way,
Exactly.
is because it's what it is. It's bait to get the click.
Yeah.
So people only care about getting that initial click,
Yeah.
rather than following through. And if you're going to make effective content that gets the conversion rates you're looking for, i.e. gets the leads that you want, or gets people to sign up for your newsletter or whatever, you can leverage the knowledge that people have used to create clickbait titles, but then you need to have the content inside it to back it up, right?
Exactly. So that's also the thing for me, let's say, is, okay, make a clickbaity title. We are all happy with it if you do it right. But then again, what's the content about? And that's what I was saying about, BuzzFeed. It's not that bad, the content. But there are also cases when the content is so bad that it's just not going to, people are just going to bounce off immediately. So that's not going to get you eventually to those actual good leads that you want. So it is a matter of how you write it and how to, create that content to also accommodate the actual, to curiosity, let's say, of your customers in a way, and actually giving them something that will keep them coming back, I think.
So, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Do you want to now answer the question of how do you make a good clickbait title, or do you want to talk about how to create a good clickbait article?
I would do both, to be honest, but let's just go for one. Let's talk about... I'm very indecisive, to be honest. I don't know. What would you say?
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
Oh, God, 7?
Excellent. You're talking about how to create a good clickbait title.
Damn it. Okay, fine. How did that work? I'm not sure, but okay, I will trust you on it. So how to create a good clickbaity title? Well, first of all, I think you have to know your audience. That's also where you start, because what we were saying, eventually you're writing for your customers, you're writing for an audience. So if you're writing, for example, we were discussing about this before the show. If you're writing, for example, for people that are, very business-like or very formal or a little bit more old school, the very outrageous, crazy, clickbaity titles are not going to work.
You won't believe this shocking truth.
Exactly. So that's not going to work if you're writing for somebody that's a bit older and in an industry that requires a lot of formality, I think.
Can you share your story about working in the wind energy industry?
Yeah. So basically I worked for this company for a while, and we were trying to have these clickbaity titles with articles just to create more content for the website, really. And despite being, such a modern industry, because, wind energies, clean energies, what I noticed was at one point that the people reading the articles were hating them. So we had like a very high bounce rate. And we actually talked to a couple of our customers, and they were like, yeah, these are way too modern for me. And it's just because they were people that had been in the energy industry, like the conventional one, for a very long time. And they really didn't get that. So they just wanted, hardcore, simple stuff that could just help them. So one way, again, just make sure that you know your audience. What's your tip about a great clickbait?
Make it as sexy as possible. No, I'm kidding. Whenever you create a title for something, what you're essentially doing is making a promise to the reader. So clickbait only becomes annoying. So I'll give you an example. Here's one outrageous trick that doctors hate. If the article actually taught me an outrageous trick that doctors hated for me to lose weight or whatever, I would be like, oh, cool, great content. However, if the answer was diet and exercise, and that was what was
thank you
contained in the article, I'd be like, well, cool, I know this already.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
From my experience creating advertorial content in the tech sector, which I was the editor of one of the UK's largest business tech publications. We found that actually clickbaity content worked really well. So I'm talking things like lists, controversial opinions. But like Rosie was saying, it really depended on how we framed it. The thing is, getting a new server system isn't going to be life-changing. However, it's probably going to save you a lot of time in the long run. So we would produce articles like 5 things you need to know about servers to increase productivity.
Yeah.
Which is a much more toned down version of a clickbait title, and we were getting great results from that because we'd made the promise of just 5 things, and we'd also told them that they were going to be able to increase their productivity. And I think really the art of creating good clickbait comes from pushing a little far with the emotive language being used, but not going too far with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's what we were saying. It depends a lot on, who you're talking to, and just knowing also the way that they speak and that they talk, and, just kind of go with that hunch about your own audience.
So, what are the 3 takeaways for our lovely listeners?
Don't use clickbait. No, I'm not joking. The 3 main ones would be, so number 1, as I said, know who you're talking to. Make sure that you're not going all clickbaity and outrageous if your audience doesn't appreciate that.
And how do you get that information?
just really talk to your audience and have a clear idea of who your target is, get to know them and understand how they speak really. So that would be number 1. Number 2?
Number 2 would be figure out what it is that your audience is expecting from your product or service. Like we said, whenever you create a title, you're creating a promise. But if your brand is about saving time and suddenly you start talking about how to make loads of money,
that's weird, dude.
You need to realize that you want to get known for one thing.
Yeah.
One thing, and once you're well known for that, then you can start branching out. But that's for a different podcast, I think. So make sure that all of your content is based around a similar promise. So say you know that you can save people time, you want to save time, build efficiency. Save time, build efficiency. Sure.
Yeah.
So structure your titles around that. And number 3?
Number 3, I think it goes then back to content, to be honest. We didn't really touch on it that much, but I think it's a matter of, okay, your title can be great and can get you that click, but then you also have to deliver in terms of content. So also make sure that the way that you write the article is actually legit. Don't go all weird, don't put too much Twitter quotes from strangers in there, and just make sure that you don't have that you're actually writing, let's say, for a human, and that you're not writing for Google, just writing for the sake of, somebody opened this article and now I just have to write 10 sentences to keep them here for half a minute. Just actually make sure that your content is good, is written well, that, just make an effort, I guess. That's it.
That's the trick.
That's
just give a shit.
Exactly.
All right, congratulations, listener. You've got to the end of the first podcast, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know I do, but I've got Rosie sitting right next to me. But Rosie, if the listeners have any questions, where do you encourage them to go?
Just get in touch with your lovely Rosie, and that's at rosie@writingwithrosie.com.
That's Rosie
at
writingwithrosie.com.
How can you get that wrong, I wonder, right? There are many ways of doing it, but I
don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Thank you so much, guys.